See, so I'm live. Good evening, everyone. Uh, Welcome to the show this Tuesday. My name is Stuart Davis. I'm a flawed man of God. Um, just a brief introduction to this channel and this show. I am a relative nobody. I am a deacon at a small church that's outside of Richmond, Virginia. I'm not a pastor, not a biblical scholar, but what I am trying to do with this channel is give you some exposure to what I would consider average pedestrian day to day Christian opinions, thoughts, feelings, and reactions to things. Specifically, in this series that I'm going into right now, is we're doing a walkthrough of the Bible, and that is there to just show us that there's more to the Bible just than all the rules and restrictions and ho hum impressions that many people who are not familiar with the Bible and have not read it um, may have with it. So that's what we're getting into tonight. And tonight we are picking up in Exodus. We have the Israelites just beginning their journey into the wilderness, and we are going to focus on how you need to trust in the plan. Right? Uh, we've done it before when we've had a plan together, and other people have not had faith in it. But we'd like, look, just trust me on this. I know how this is going to work. I've got it all planned out. I've got it all figured out. I'm going to take care of you. Going on a road trip, you've got a you've got something you're doing at work, something like that's going on, and you run into some naysayers, and you just deal with it, right? Well, we're going to put this into God's predicament, and while God is very capable, patient, and just absolutely able to handle the moanings and groanings of 600,000 men and their families. We've also got Moses, who is just another dude who's been chosen by God and is an extraordinary person, but doesn't have exactly the confidence yet that he needs. And he is leading these people, and he has to deal with them not trusting the plan. So we're going to get into that. First off, just wanted to comment. I'm a big sports fan, right? If you've listened to this channel at all, you've or watched me on here before, you've heard me make a couple of sports references. And we did learn this evening about the passing of John Madden. So I just wanted to get a shout out. Um, Godspeed, John Madden. I criticized you all the time when I had to watch you, and unfortunately, once you retired, I realized just how bad all the new commentators are. They are terrible. Peyton and Eli doing a pretty good job, but it's the gap between your retirement and them has really just highlighted the colorful nature and the love for the game that you had. So shout out to John Madden. Also, brief. If you have it, a prayer request, keep them in your thoughts. A gentleman I look up to a lot. His father passed away today as well. He is a good man, and from what I understand, his father had a lot to do with shaping that good man. So we always mourn the loss of a parent, especially when it is somebody that is near and dear to us, and who is just a good person and help us be better people in general. A parent that you can you can look to and credit with much of your success in a positive way is always sorely missed, no matter how long of a life they may have lived. So to that gentleman, I'm not in the habit of giving names out for other folks on the internet. But if you're looking for someone to keep in your thoughts, he is the one, him and his family, as they go through the mourning and grieving process. So we're getting into reading tonight. I'm not gonna waste much time getting in there. We left off, like I said, the Egyptians were keeping the Israelites enslaved until God told them that the time was up. The time was to leave Egypt, and so He did it in spectacular fashion by picking a man who had royal ties to Egypt, but had eschewed it because of his temper had gotten the better of him, and he killed another Egyptian, was chased out, but came back, stutter and all, and became the what's a good term? The chief the chief ambassador to God, to Pharaoh and the Egyptians. And he came and said, "Look, we need to go." Pharaoh said no. God said, "Okay, let me show you why you need to listen to me." Plagues ensued, one very bad one in particular at the end. The Egyptians kicked the Israelites out of Egypt and then decide later on that they need to just chase them down. And then we have one of the most famous events in the Old Testament, which is the parting of the Red Sea. Moses, through the strength of God, lifts his staff and God parts the sea, and the Israelites, all the vast multitude of them, we're talking about probably somewhere well in excess of 1 million people, crossing this sea from one side to the next, and on dry land, and watching on one side of one side of them and to the other side of them, just a wall of water. And then they pass through. It probably takes a great deal amount of time with the Egyptians right on their heels. The Egyptians not using much common sense after seeing this great miracle and figuring that these walls of water would just stay in place. Decide they're going to pursue them, because why not? They get stuck in the middle of the sea, and from that point, Moses closes the door behind him, and Pharaoh and his army are destroyed. Anyone on in the water at that time, or in anyone in trying to cross that through that area at that time, was obliterated by many many million tons of water and water pressure. So then we leave them at that. They have they wander around a little bit, and then they start to get thirsty. They ask for water, to ask Moses, "Hey man, what's going on with this water situation?" God gets gives Moses the power, and he throws a piece of wood into a body of water that was not fit for drinking, and then all of a sudden they can drink, and then they find springs. So they're coming through. So, but what we're going to find out is they've got provisions with them to travel, but not to travel very far. What are they going to do when they start running out? The logistics. Now, my career path has been a logistics career path, so it's always what I think of. And when I start to think of the uh, the needs that come along with that many bodies traveling on foot, uh, it's impressive to say it's a impressive concern. But what do we have? God. God put this whole plan in place. God has many abilities, and and one of them is being able to do everything. So with that in mind, um, he is going to ask folks to stick to the plan and trust the plan. Chapter 16, Exodus, Manna and Quail. The whole Israelite community set. And let me do another thing actually before I get into this. Like, this will do this thing where I try to remember to share this to my feed so that other people can see this as well. So I put it on my own feed. It's not popping up as easily as I wanted it to. And for some reason, tabs for Kroger keep popping up. I'm not interested in that. Oh wow. Wow, Facebook. Be be more annoying. And again, we've got odd things popping up. So oh well. We will forego that and go right into the meat, which is oddly appropriate turn of phrase. The whole Israelite community set out from Elim and came into the desert of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai. On the 15th day of the second month after they had come out of Egypt, in the desert, the whole community grumbled against Moses and Aaron. The Israelites said to him, "If only we had died by the Lord's hand in Egypt. There we sat around pots of meat and ate all the food we wanted. but you have brought us out into this desert to starve this entire assembly to death. First off, it's not Moses' fault that y'all went out there. It's God's fault. Y'all willingly went out here as well. And so, but now they're like, oh, it's so hot out here. I'm so hungry. I'm so thirsty. If only you just killed me in Egypt when I was a slave. At least I was fed. Then the Lord said to Moses, I will rain down bread from heaven for you. The people are to go out each day and gather enough for that day. In this way, I will test them and see whether they will follow my instructions. On the sixth day, they are to prepare what they bring in, and that is to be twice as much as they gather on the other days. So Moses and Aaron said to all the Israelites, in the evening you will know that it is with the Lord who brought you out of Egypt, and in the morning you will see the glory of the Lord because he has heard your grumbling against him. Who are we that you should grumble against us? Moses also said, you will know that it was the Lord when he gives you the meat to eat in the evening and all the bread you want in the morning because he has heard your grumbling against him. Who are we? We are not grumbling against you. Are not grumbling against us, but against the Lord. So Moses reminding him, guess what? I didn't bring you out here just for my help. I brought you out here as a conduit from God because it was God's idea to do this. It's God's plan to do this. And so if you're worried about God killing you, maybe you should ask him to do it right now. But instead of doing that, he's going to rain down bread from heaven. You're going to go out and collect it. But he's talking about 6 days, not seven. There's 7 days in the week, right? We know this from Genesis. We know this because, well, that's just the way that that's the way it's always been for us. Then Moses told Aaron, say to the entire Israelite community, come before the Lord, for he has heard your grumbling. While Aaron was speaking to the whole Israelite community, they looked towards the desert, and there was the glory of the Lord appearing in the cloud. The Lord said to Moses, I have heard the grumbling of the Israelites. Tell them, at twilight you will eat meat, and in the morning you will be filled with bread. Then you will know that I am the Lord your God. That sounds delicious, by the way. My two favorite things in life when it comes to meals is meat and bread. God has said, man cannot live on bread alone. That's why we need meat, and on those two things, we can live. That evening, quail came and covered the camp, and in the morning there was a layer of dew around the camp. When the dew was gone, thin flakes like frost on the ground appeared on the desert floor. When the Israelites saw it, they said to each other, what is it? For they did not know what it was, which is nor what you say when you don't know what something is. What is this? Especially coming out in the middle of the desert, right? Arid wasteland. All of a sudden there's dew. Moses said to them, it is the bread the Lord has given you to eat. This is what the Lord has commanded. Everyone is to gather as much as they need. Take an omer for each person you have in the tent. Now, omer is a unit of measure or weight or something, but take this amount. It's an amount of something. The Israelites did as they were told. Some gathered much, some little. And when they measured it by the omer, the one who gathered much did not have too much, and the one who gathered little did not have too little. Everyone had gathered just as much as they needed. Then Moses said to them, no one is to keep any of it until morning. However, some of them paid no attention to Moses, of course, and they kept part of it until morning, but it was full of maggots and began to smell. So Moses was angry with them. Obviously, I told you what you needed to do. God's going to provide. You don't need to keep it. This is the test, right? This is the test. Look, not only have I given you specific signs to understand that you are divinely led with the plagues and coming out into the through the Red Sea, throwing literally a piece of wood into water, and all of a sudden it's drinkable. A pillar of fire to guide you. What else do you need? You want food? Here's food. Just literally just land it on there. Let's just bring quail out in the middle of the desert, just right there in front of you. You want bread? Oh, here's bread. It's gonna form like dew in the desert. What are you gonna do? But you only need to take enough that you need it for that day. What did they do? Of course, no faith. They said, well, no, I'm going to keep some more just in case I need it. Just in case you need it, the God is going to provide you with everything that you need. But, you know, certainly they learned their lesson once they did it, and then it began maggots and began to smell. Obviously, Moses was angry. Each morning, everyone gathered as much as they needed, and when the sun grew hot, it melted away. On the sixth day, they gathered twice as much, 2 omers for each person. And the leaders of the community came and reported this to Moses. He said to them, "This is what the Lord commanded. Tomorrow is to be a day of Sabbath rest, a holy Sabbath to the Lord. So bake what you want to bake and boil what you want to boil. Save whatever is left and keep it until morning." So they saved it until morning, as Moses commanded, and it did not stink or get maggots in it. "Eat it today," Moses said, "because today is a Sabbath day to the Lord. You will not find any of it on the ground today. 6 days you are to gather it, but on the seventh day, the Sabbath, there will not be any." Nevertheless, some of the people went out on the seventh day to gather it, but they found none. Then the Lord said to Moses, "How long will you refuse to keep my commands and my instructions? Bear in mind that the Lord has given you the Sabbath. That is why on the sixth day he gives you bread for 2 days. Everyone is to stay where they are on the seventh day. No one is to go out." So the people rested on the seventh day, except for the folks who went out in vain, out looking for more food. You've got enough. You've got enough. Don't go out there. You were already instructed. And so now we have Moses. What is Moses right now? He is the intermediary. He is the middleman between a very perfect, very all-powerful being giving instructions and a very imperfect, uh, whiny, just unfaithful people, ungrateful people. It seems like untrusting people. He's the guy. They complain to him. God complains to him. So he's getting it from both sides. He's getting it from a being so beyond comprehension that it probably creates its own anxiety, especially in Moses, who, as we've covered this before, has a confidence issue in himself. Add to that, you have people that are acting like fools and not trusting to the plan, are complaining as well because they don't think they have enough, or they're going out and doing something that they're not supposed to do. You got Moses, man. he's got he's got a significant job on his hands. The people of Israel called the bread manna. It was like white coriander seed and tasted like wafers made with honey. That's manna being bread. That is a wheat product, folks. So all you nerds, especially you JRPG folks out there who think that it's magic, it's not. It's not going to replenish. It's not going to replenish your mana in whatever D&D game you're playing right now. Moses said, "This is what the Lord has commanded. Take an omer of manna and keep it for the generations to come, so that they see the bread I gave you to eat in the wilderness when I brought you out of Egypt." Take it. Make it take this bread to remember me. I want you guys to take that understand that. I said this yesterday when we were talking about lots of foreshadowing in the Bible, in the Old Testament, making way for Christ. Take an omer of manna and keep it for the generations to come, so that they can see the bread I gave you to eat in the wilderness when I brought you out of Egypt. Take this bread and remember me. So now we've got Passover. We've got manna, which is bread, being used as a piece of remembrance. So Moses said to Aaron, "Take a jar and put an omer of manna in it. Then place it before the Lord to be kept for the generations to come." As the Lord commanded Moses, Aaron put the manna with the tablets of the covenant law so that it might be preserved. The Israelites ate manna 40 years until they came to a land that was settled. They ate manna until they reached the border of Canaan. Also, an omer is 1/10 of an ephah, or ephah. Ephah? So, of course, because of course it is. That's self explanatory, right? Whatever. They had enough to eat. That's what you get out of that. They had enough to eat, but not enough to keep them satisfied. The whole Israelite community set out from the desert of Sin, traveling from place to place as the Lord commanded. They camped at Rephidim, but there was no water for the people to drink. So what are they going to do? They quarreled with Moses and said, "Give us water to drink." Moses replied, "Why do you quarrel with me? Why do you put the Lord to the test?" But the people were thirsty for water there, and they grumbled against Moses. They said, "Why did you bring us up out of Egypt to make us and our children and our livestock die of thirst?" And then Moses cried out to the Lord, "What am I to do with these people? They are almost ready to stone me." Again, look, if you're a parent, you've gone through this. I'm going to die. I haven't had water in 30 minutes. I'm going to die. I haven't had food. I haven't fed food since lunchtime. It's 1 o'clock. Hey, I'm going to die of hunger. I got to eat right now. That's what the Israelites are doing right now. And Moses is got to be is sitting there, and it's a multitude of them out there. And Moses is just one man. So you got the folks who are angry. What am I to do with these people? They're almost ready to stone me. Now, this is not saying that all of the Israelites are like that. And it's easy, and I fall into this myself. It's easy to remember that, or easy to forget that there are well over a million people in this march, right? In this traveling, in this exodus. So if you think of how many people is in 1% of the Israelite community, and they're upset and losing faith and having a temper tantrum, how many people is that? It's a lot, especially when you compare it with one man. The Lord answered Moses, "Go out in front of the people, take with you some of the elders of Israel, and take in your hand the staff with which you struck the Nile, and go. I will stand there before you by the rock at Horeb. Strike the rock, and the water will come out of it, and people will drink." So Moses did this in the sight of the elders of Israel, and he called the place Massa and Meribah, because the Israelites quarreled, and they tested the Lord, saying, "Is the Lord among us or not?" Like, they have to tell. They wake up every morning. There's quail and daggone manna. So I guess Massa and Meribah translates to bitchy. Maybe those are the two words for that. Out of nowhere, the Amalekites came and attacked the Israelites of Rephidim. Of course, why wouldn't you? If you're desert people, you're out there and you see these other folks and they've got quail landing in their encampment. And they got all this bread every day. Who wouldn't? Moses said to Joshua, "Choose some of our men and go out and fight the Amalekites. Tomorrow I will stand on top of the hill with the staff of God in my hands." Ooh. So Joshua's my man. Joshua fought the Amalekites as Moses had ordered, and Moses, Aaron, and Hur went to the top of the hill. As long as Moses held up his hands, the Israelites were winning. But whenever he lowered his hands, the Amalekites were winning. That's not funny. When Moses' hands grew tired, they took a stone and put it under him. Oh, that's how. Okay. When Moses' hands grew tired, they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it. Aaron and Hur held his hands up, one on one side, one on the other, so his hands remained steady till sunset. So Joshua overcame the Amalekites' army with the sword. Okay, cool trick. I got my arms up. We're winning. And so I thought that at first it's like, I got him up, now I'm down. You're losing. You're winning, you're losing. You're winning, you're losing. No, he's not doing that. Moses is a good guy. He's holding him up, but he's not the oldest. He's not the youngest guy. He's in his 80s when this happens. So he's holding his arms up, and they're getting tired after a while. So they start to fall down. He's going into muscle failure. It's arm day, and he's doing a good job, but you're in your 80s, right? So they do the right thing. As soon as they start realizing what's going on, Aaron and Hur go up and hold up each of his arms, put stones under it, do whatever they need to do to prop it up so he's doing what he's supposed to. Because of that, Joshua and the Amalekite army beats the Amalekites. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Write this on a scroll as something to be remembered, and make sure that Joshua hears it, because I will completely blot out the name of Amalek from under heaven." Woo! Moses built an altar and called it, "The Lord is my banner." He said, "Because hands were lifted up against the throne of the Lord will be at war against the Amalekites from generation to generation." Do we know of anybody who's an Amalekite these days? Nobody. Nobody's heard of the Amalekites. or nobody knows any Amalekites or knows where Amalek is. That's because they were completely blotted out. They don't exist anymore. Don't don't attack the Israelites at this point. Look, they're look. All the signs are there. If you're a sensible person, Egyptians didn't figure it out, and apparently the Amalekites didn't figure it out either. All clearly all these blessings are being bestowed upon these folks, and I get it. You want those blessings so bad you want to steal it, but when you see signs up ahead, because again, that pillar of fire is still up there leading them around, might not be the best time. Your discretion, better part of valor. They don't understand it. And here we're going to Jethro visits Moses. My boy Jethro. Jethro. Now, Jethro, the priest of Midian and father in law of Moses, heard about everything God had done for Moses and for his people Israel, and how the Lord had brought Israel out of Egypt. After Moses had sent away his wife Zipporah, his father in law Jethro received her and her two sons. One son was named Gershom, for Moses said, I have become a foreigner in a foreign land, and the other was named Eleazar. For he said, my father's God was my helper. He saved me from the sword of Pharaoh. It's interesting watching all the reasons why people give these folks these names because I have no idea what the meaning is of these names. Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, together with Moses' sons and wife, came to him in the wilderness where he was camped near the mountain of God. Jethro had said word to him, I, your father-in-law Jethro, am coming to you with your wife and her two sons. So Moses went out to meet his father-in-law and bowed down and kissed him. Always feels good. Maybe I'll be treated this way when I'm a father-in-law. They greeted each other and then went into the tent. Moses told his father-in-law about everything the Lord had done to Pharaoh and the Egyptians for Israel's sake, and about all the hardships they had met along the way, and how the Lord had saved them. How many of those hardships were self-inflicted? Not Moses self-inflicting, but Israelites self-inflicting. Jethro was delighted to hear about all the good things the Lord had done for Israel in rescuing them from the hands of the Egyptians. He said, Praise be to the Lord who rescued you from the hands of the Egyptians and the Pharaoh who rescued the people from the hand of the Egyptians. Now I know that the Lord is greater than all other gods, for he did this to those who had treated Israel arrogantly. Then Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, brought a burnt offering and other sacrifices to God. And Aaron came with all the elders of Israel to eat a meal with Moses' father-in-law in the presence of God. Because look, if you're doing barbecue for God, you know it's going to be it's a good time to get everybody together. The next day, Moses took his seat to serve as judge for the people, and they stood around him from morning till evening. When his father-in-law saw all that Moses was doing for the people, he said, "What is this that you are doing for the people? Why do you sit as judge while all these people stand around you from morning till evening?" Moses answered him, "Because the people come to me to seek God's will. Whenever they have a dispute, it is brought to me, and I decide between the parties and inform them of God's decrees and instructions." Moses' father-in-law replied, "What you are doing is not good. You and these people who come to you will only wear yourselves out. The work is too heavy for you. You cannot handle it alone. Now listen now to me, and I will give you some advice, and may God be with you. You must be the people's representative before God and bring their disputes to him. Teach them his decrees and instructions and show them the way that they are to live and how they are to behave. But select capable men from all the people, men who fear God, trustworthy men who hate dishonest gain, and appoint them as officials over thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. Have them serve as judges for the people at all times, but have them bring every difficult case to you. The simple cases they can decide themselves. That will make your load lighter because they will share it with you. If you do this, and God so commands, you will be able to stand the strain, and all these people will go home satisfied. Hmm. You can tell Jethro's new to this game. He said that the Israelites were going to be satisfied. Nothing satisfies an Israelite. But very good advice that he's giving Moses. Like, dude, you've got millions of people here and you're handling all the cases. It's never going to nothing is ever going to be done. Why don't you delegate? Teach a man to fish, right? catch a man to fish, teach a man to fish, get him to do it. So sounds like a good plan. Moses listened to his father-in-law because he's not your common Israelite. Moses listened to his father-in-law and did everything he said. He chose capable men from all Israel and made them leaders of the people, officials over thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. They served as judges for the people at all times. Judge Wapner was in that group, probably. The difficult cases they brought to Moses, but the simple ones they decided for themselves. Then Moses sent his father-in-law on his way, and Jethro returned to his own country. Nice of him to show up and do it, though. Good old Jethro. Look, he had the grandkids and he had his daughter at home. He didn't have to go out there and help. He didn't have to go out there and help Moses, but he liked Moses. That speaks to Jethro's character, Moses' character. Of course, we already know Moses is a solid guy, and we'll end there because I mean we're half hour into the stream. We're gonna have a big one to next week or tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday. I might be doing a New Year's stream of some sort that at that point, but we'll see how that goes. Uh, the Christmas stream was not as smooth. There was plenty of content in there, but there was a lot of stuttering for it through it, a lot of gaps. Wasn't exactly happy with how it all came together, but I was stalling a little bit, trying to give some folks who had said they might be able to make it on time to make it on. None of them were able to do that. But again, we still had some conversation on. I'm trying to get that to change. Maybe we can get something happening tomorrow night. We'll have to see. But that'll be my last. That'll be my last stream for the week, Wednesday. So tomorrow will be my last stream for the week, Wednesday, because I got other stuff going on that will preclude me from being on here. But have no fear. When the new year kicks off with Monday in the new week, we are going to be hitting it rolling. I'm going to try to get things set up so that we are having a as many guests as possible this coming year. This has been a great experience. I love doing this. Thank you guys for everybody who's liking and subscribing, sharing my stuff. Um, it's it's a small group right now, but who knows when it's going to blow up and get bigger. But again, if I mean, as small as it is, I'm still happy with the folks who I am affecting in a good way. So with that said, enjoy your Tuesday evening, and hopefully you get something out of this. Right? What do we get out of Exodus? This part of Exodus, we're talking about the Israelites, just like us at times. Of course, again, I say there's really no reason for them not to have any faith. But for one reason or another, they just lose their faith and they just start whining and crying and just nagging Moses, threatening him apparently a little bit. And Moses has to bring all this before God, but God's got a plan. Like God's just doing it, right? He's like, yeah, I got this taken care of. Wait, in the morning, there's going to be food. In the evening, there's going to be food. You're going to have everything you need. You don't need it. You don't need to save it because it's going to just give you something else that you need to hold on to and travel with. No, don't worry about it. And then, we'll get you your water. When you need your water, we'll get you water. Just throw that stick in the ground. You hit that rock over there, it's going to be water. Don't worry about it. So, with that, so take that as your lesson for that is to trust the process. Um, that's not to say that God's going to provide you with everything as you go through the journey of life. But if God is giving you a signal that He wants you to do something, generally He's going to kind of pave a way for you to get there. That doesn't mean it's not going to be bumpy. There's not going to be potholes in said paved way, but the Lord will provide to get you where you need to be, get you to do what you need to do. Just to kind of, again, this is not some folks count this into prosperity for some reason or another. It's not. That's not what it's all about. Your life is not guaranteed to be easier or harder for being just because you put your faith in God. Now, there's something to be said that maybe the challenges get tougher. The challenges get tougher is because you've got to make sure because the onus is on you and the expectation is on you to choose to do things the right way and to do get through something in the right manner with the right mindset. It can make things harder in some respects. But it doesn't mean that that your actual life is getting going to get harder. I don't. I mean, there's some accounts in the Bible where that is a real thing, but usually it's not something you can't overcome. You can beat it. You can do anything. I believe in you. So, for those of you who are tuning in, have a good evening and God bless. Good night.